Shalom. How's everyone doing this Wednesday afternoon? For those who don't know me, my name is Mr. Andrew Williams. I'm also known as the Prophet of War. Today I'd like to make another video to share this awesome or amazing testimony which I experienced what I experienced late last night around a little after 10 o'clock. As many of you know, I stay in a hotel and I usually keep my door open. And so this time I would just keep my door open while I was preparing myself a late dinner because I haven't eaten all day yesterday. So I prepared myself a late dinner to have just a late snack before I actually turn in to go to bed. And while I was standing there preparing my dinner, I kept having intuitional thoughts went into my mind, fire, 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 like that. And then I did stop, I did froze or stop for a few seconds to sense anything, but I didn't sense anything. And I have what they call psychic smell. I didn't smell anything. I just didn't sense no danger or anything out of the way. It was just my intuition just kept warning me, fire, fire, fire. So I thought it was just a false impression. So I just stood there over the stove and continued cooking or preparing my dinner. And so a few minutes later, not even a minute later, a beautiful young lady passed my door. She said hi to me. I looked at her and nodded my head and said hi back to her. And then less than 10 seconds later, she came back in front of my door, and then she started speaking in Spanish or Mexican. Now, I don't understand Spanish or Mexican because I don't speak Spanish or Mexican, anything like that, so I didn't understand what she was saying. So I just brushed it off, so maybe she's just trying to speak to me, trying to get my attention. And then I just nodded my head and said hi, and then let her know I'm not interested in speaking to nobody or meeting anybody. And so stuff like that. And then she said, no. And then she kept repeating the word again in Spanish or Mexican. So I didn't understand what she was saying. So, and then the voice, my intuition thought starts saying again, fire, fire, fire. But at that time, I didn't put the two together. And so, because I really wanted to be alone, because I had a lot on my mind. And so, but that intuitional thought interrupt my thought was what I was thinking was on my mind. And so then the voice of Yah gently whispered in my ear and said, no, Andrew, listen to her, then you will understand. So I stopped what I was doing. I slowly turned off the stove, and then I took 2 steps toward her, but I still stayed in my hotel room as she stood outside. And then I asked her, how can I help you? Then she started speaking in Spanish or Mexican again, but I still didn't understood her. And then I looked at her, scanned her from head to toe. She was a little upset, but she was very calm at the same time, which threw me off a little bit. So I knew something was wrong, but she was very calm about it. And so I said, what you trying to tell me? So then she realized I didn't understand Spanish or Mexican, that she put up her hand and started making hand gesture, flicking one hand like a lighter, like she holding a lighter with the other hand, and doing like this with her hand, and then start saying, repeating the words again. Then then the Spirit of the Lord said, she's saying, the intuition of thought, or the Spirit of the Lord gave me understanding what she was saying, lighter. And I said, oh, you saying lighter, and then I said, no, I don't have a lighter. Because a lot of people do stop me. A lot of people do stop in front of my door and ask me, do I have a cigarette or do I have a lighter? So I thought maybe she was saying the same thing. So I let her know, no, I don't have a lighter. She said, no. Then she started saying in Mexican again, or Spanish again. Then she started pointing outside. Then I, looked at her, and I looked at the door, because I stayed right next door, the door leading I stayed right next to the exit door that you go in and out of. And then I walked to the threshold of my door and looked at the door. Then I said, then I started having the intuition thoughts again, fire. And then I said, outside, fire outside. She said, yeah. Then she started saying that word again in Mexican or Spanish. So I went to the door, propped the door open with my hand. I looked, I scanned the area where all the cars was parking at across the street. I didn't see no nothing burning or on fire. And then she said, no, fire, pointing up on the other side behind the door. And then I popped the door open and stepped halfway out the door, and then I saw the the cigarette, a metal cigarette container in flame. And so because somebody didn't doubt out the flame of the cigarette, so I saw the flames and the smoke burning inside that silver metal container. So I quickly came back. First I told her, go report it to the office, there's fire in the back. So she left and went to report it. Then I came back into my room real quick, got a cup of water, and then I poured on top of the container, inside the container, to douse the flame of the cigarettes, so the flame won't get out of hand. And then I came back inside, got another full cup of water, went outside again, and then did the same thing until the cigarettes fell from the bottom of the container and onto the metal on the concrete floor. And then I took the remaining water in a cup and poured over the 4 or 5 different cigarettes to make sure the cigarette was completely wet. So, and that's what happened. And then I came back inside, quickly called the front office and told the lady at the front desk, come to the back where my room is, because there was a slight fire. So she came, and then I told her what happened, and then we agreed that it wasn't bad enough. We had to call the fire department and like that. We double checked. We continue to check to make sure that there was no fire on the inside or around the surrounding area or trash can or something like that. And then, so we stood out there about good 10 minutes to make sure everything was okay. And then she explained to me that, there was no security camera pointing to that specific area, because she cannot see in that specific area. But she was thankful that I was able to intervene to put out the fire. So I just want to share that testimony to let everybody know how my psychic ability kicked in to prevent this hotel I'm staying at, to inflame into a major fire so stuff like that. So that's my testimony that I wanted to share. And so then I was also impressed with the fact even if I didn't understood the Mexican lady or Spanish lady, whatever they call themselves, how my intuition kicked in to understood that what she was saying to warn me that there was fire outside my door. Only thing I did find peculiar was, how come? Cause I did find it kind of strange that how come I didn't sense any danger? Because based upon my psychic ability, I do have psychic smell, and I usually smell something like that in advance. But in this case, I didn't. My psychic smell didn't kick in, or why my psychic sensory didn't kick in to warn me that I sensed danger. But the only psychic ability that activated was my intuition, just saying fire, fire, and fire. Which I'm not disappointed on that. I don't, understood why it happened that way. Maybe because it happened that I'm thinking maybe it happened that way because all the psychic meditation I was doing all week and those senses was exhausted. Because last night I was mentally exhausted from all the psychic meditation I've been doing all this week, just practicing with those different senses, but the only thing I didn't practice all this week was my intuition, and maybe that's why it kicked in the way it did. So that's a testimony I wanted to share, and I appreciate y'all stopping by to watch and to listen. You all have a good and blessed day. Shalom.